Hello everyone, today we continue our exploration of angelology, delving into the intermediate rank known as dominions or lordships. In this video, we're delving into the profound realms of angelology, specifically exploring the majestic orders of thrones and dominions. These celestial entities are not just mystical figures, but embody profound spiritual significance. We'll uncover their roles, their connection to divine glory, and how they impact our spiritual journey. Join me as we unravel the mysteries of thrones and dominions and contemplate their influence on our lives. Dominions are traditionally tasked with governing the movement of stars, planets, and other celestial bodies. These angelic rulers very rarely reveal themselves physically to humans. Instead, they instruct earthly authorities appointed by God in wise governance. Dominions teach mastery over emotions, the taming of sinful desires, subduing the flesh to the spirit, controlling one's will, and overcoming temptations. In the New Testament, dominions are mentioned in the writings of the Apostle Paul, as I cited earlier. Thus, dominions are part of this triad of angelic beings that I find difficult to describe. It truly resembles ancient forces that move planets, kings, presidents, and oppose dark powers. Gregory the theologian places dominions fourth in the enumeration of the 9 angelic orders, after angels, archangels, and thrones. The theologian himself wrote that angels are illuminated by the first light, the transmission of which enables them to enlighten others. And that's all the information we have about dominions for now. Moving on to the highest order of angels, the thrones. Thrones, or seats from the Latin thronus, constitute the third class of the highest angelic hierarchy, positioned closest to God. In the hierarchy of angelic orders, they stand after the seraphim and cherubim, according to Dionysius the Areopagites classification. It is they who uphold the divine throne. In the New Testament, thrones are mentioned in the Epistle of Paul to the Colossians and the Revelation of John the theologian. Based on these texts, it is inferred that the Lord sits on them as on a throne or seat, hence their name. Essentially, thrones are analogous to Ophanim, the same enormous wheels upon which the throne of Yahweh stands. According to American writer Rosemary Ellen Guiley, known for her reference and encyclopedic works on spirituality, thrones are depicted as large wheels with many eyes and are situated in the cosmic realm where the primary material form begins to take shape. They administer divine justice and uphold cosmic harmony through universal laws. In essence, they function as the actual chariot of God, or its wheels, steered by the cherubim. They are characterized by calmness and submission, as God rests upon them. The mention of thrones is also found in the vision of Daniel 7:9. The quote reads, "As I looked, thrones were set in place, and the Ancient of Days took his seat. His clothing was as white as snow, the hair of his head was white like wool. His throne was flaming with fire, and its wheels were all ablaze." This passage vividly describes the imagery of thrones being established and the Ancient of Days assuming his position. The depiction includes symbolic elements, such as white clothing symbolizing purity and authority, and the flaming throne and blazing wheels representing divine power and majesty. In the Testament of the 12 Patriarchs, specifically in the Testament of Levi, there is a description of the 7 heavens. Quote, "In the highest heaven, in his holy of holies dwells the great glory himself, and just below are the angels of his presence who serve him and implore the Lord to forgive the righteous who have sinned in ignorance. On the next heaven below, there are angels who serve the angels of his presence, and on the one nearest to it are the thrones and dominions where hymns are sung to God." And so the enumeration of the orders goes downward until ordinary angels are mentioned. The Testaments of the 12 Patriarchs is an ancient apocryphal text, composed in the 1st century BCE. The text itself is an ethical apocalyptic treatise purportedly written on behalf of the 12 Patriarchs, who were the sons of Jacob, also known as Israel. So, the sons of Jacob supposedly authored this text, which has survived in Greek, Ethiopian, and Slavonic versions that were widely known during the Middle Ages. And as you can see, they also wrote about the thrones. According to the works of Matthew Banson, the corresponding order of angels in Judaism is called abalim or relim, but this idea is unlikely to be correct. The Jewish word relim is usually translated not as thrones but as mighty ones, heroes, or warriors, which doesn't quite align with the legend of the thrones. By the way, the throne of glory, or God's throne in Abrahamic religions, is the place from which God manifests his greatness and glory. In Orthodox churches, the throne of God refers to the elevated place in the center of the altar, where the Lord himself is mysteriously and silently present among the believers during the service. The heavenly throne's intelligent, living bearers of the divine grandeur and glory. They perceive, contemplate God as the King of glory, who administers justice and truth, the great, mighty, and terrible God. The thrones are not only filled with this grandeur and glory themselves, but also impart it to others. It's as if they pour it into the human hearts, overwhelming us, mere mortals, with waves of grandeur and glory. They seem to connect us to their mood. Indeed, if the thrones visited us more often, our troubles would be fewer. They would send us the sense of God's magnificence, and our own insignificance. We wouldn't be so proud, almost worshiping ourselves as gods. But alas, the full glory of God is only accessible to the thrones. In this sense, the throne exists in almost all religions. In this video, we've explored the celestial realms of thrones and dominions, delving into their significance in angelology and spirituality. We've learned about their roles as divine messengers and guardians, their connection to the glory of God, and their impact on our spiritual journey. Join us as we uncover the mysteries of these celestial beings and contemplate their profound influence on our lives.